Okay, good evening, everybody. It is Monday, June 28, 2021. It is 7:28 p.m. My name is Chris Pia, and this is the regularly scheduled meeting for the Stratford WPCA. I'm going to call it to order, and I will ask for an approval of the minutes from the regularly scheduled May 24th meeting. Moved by Councilman O'Brien. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Dancho. Any discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, call for vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 9-0. We're going to go into the town engineer report. There's a good amount of information. I spoke with Mr. Casey and Mr. Hyde this past week. We do have some action items. John, what I would like if we could do is under the action items, we'll go off of the actual agenda under new business for the action items.
Sure.
Because I want to, that's the master agenda that's posted. So if there's anything else in your report that you need to go through now, we could do that, and then action items will take it under new business.
Yeah. Under my report, the action item that's not an agenda item is the pump station project. We have a report from the engineer, Amy Swickey's here from Time Bond.
Okay.
And then we have several change orders that are currently near the end of negotiation, if not finalized. So we'd like
Gotcha.
approval of those change orders.
Gotcha. Those are under your action items.
Yeah, it's my action item D.
D. Gotcha. Okay.
So if we could do the report
Yep.
real quick, and then we could do the change orders.
Well, let's include those in your report.
Okay.
So why don't you start with DI?
Would you like to start with that then?
Sure.
Okay, Amy will give a report.
No problem. Hi, Amy.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right. So, Amy Sawicki, I'm a professional engineer in Connecticut. I'm your consultant for your wastewater pump station project, and currently we are 57% complete with the construction of the project. We've been holding a credit since the beginning of the project, and there's a couple of changes that we'd like to propose to the WPCA for consideration. The first one, across your 5 pump stations, you have some louvers, and the contractor selected the air handling units to accommodate the air handling units and the guidelines of TR16 and NFPA 830, which should be followed. We had to change a couple of the dimensions of the louvers to the exterior of the building to keep them above the flood elevation. So across the 5 pump stations, we'd like you to consider a not-to-exceed cost of $12,200. The second item for consideration is the swapping out stop plates to slide gates. The contract documents had called for existing stop plates to be replaced at Peck's Mill Pond, Riders Lane, and Short Beach, 3 of the pump stations. The towns requested a new slide gate to be installed instead of the stop plates for both improved safety and ease of maintenance of the channels. And that's at a not-to-exceed cost of $75,254. The third item is replacement of hatches and hinges at Oak Bluff and Short Beach Pump Station. We had scheduled that to remain in place, and over the past couple of years, there's been some debris that has collected on top of the hinges and the hatches, so we're going to power wash them. But right now, steel and ductile iron is very difficult to get delivered to the site. So we got a price from the contractor to replace it in case the power washing isn't going to be enough. So we'd like a not-to-exceed cost, which could come down to $0, depending on how well they can clean it off and if it's still moving better. So that's a not-to-exceed cost of $16,971. And the fourth item is instrumentation and power supply. You have 5 pump stations. Across them, there's been a minor change in the power voltage from AC to DC by the manufacturer of the model that was selected. So there was a nominal cost that was associated with getting the power to that unit. Across the 5 pump stations, it was a couple $100s a piece, and so the not-to-exceed cost is $924. And then the last item is during construction, we found that there was some piping that had allowed grit from the wastewater to fall down a vertical pipe. When that fell down over time, it impacted the opening and closing of a valve that had blocked it off from going back into the piping. So now that they've cleaned it out and we're seeing that it's not holding as well, we'd like to consider replacing it so that over the long term they'll be able to operate that better. And there'll be an O&M practice that's put into place to ensure that the grit follows along the piping where it should go. And that's for a not to exceed cost of $11,740. So these changes add up to a maximum of $112,000, which would use up your credit to date. So you'll be at 0.1% of changes. So very good for 60% complete. Or any questions?
Thank you. Any?
Yes, if I could just say, there's one item that was not talked about by Amy, and that is not to exceed for a water line for $5,000. That's going to be reevaluated with some other improvements and consolidated into a different change order proposal. So we'll get that back to you next time.
So, John, anything to weigh in before I open it for discussion? Thank you, Ann, for a very good report. And I do agree that we're about 60% through? Yeah, that's excellent. Greg, James?
The first item, louvers, that was for all pump stations?
We're doing work at 10 of your pump stations, but major rehab at 5 of your pump station, and the louvers are for the 5 pump stations.
Any other questions or any discussion?
I just have a quick question. Me.
You're right, I can't see
I know,
through
it's
these
glary.
things. Go ahead, Laura.
Because I had the same problem. You said you're cleaning on item 3. You're cleaning the hatches and the hardware. What's on them? Is it corrosion or is it, what is it?
It looks like hydrogen sulfide has collected onto the material, and so we think if we clean it, it's going to be able to make the hinges open and close better.
Is it wearing them away, or is it something that, a corrosion that can come off and it'll be good?
There's no evidence that it's not structurally sound,
Okay.
which I think is
Yeah.
the question.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Brien?
Amy, what's the anticipated completion date?
Substantial completion is Valentine's Day of 2022. I am looking forward to it.
And everything's operating okay while this is all being done?
Tom and his crew are working hard to make sure that all of the wastewater is pumping, and the contractor has 2 of the 5 pump stations on bypass right now, and it's operating as it should.
Any other further discussion on the action items? No? Okay, so I will entertain a motion, and we can vote on them together for item 1D, 1 through, what do we got, 6. I'll entertain a motion for those as read by Amy.
Go ahead. I'm going to fight Dave for it. Motion to approve the items as described by Amy on the pump station changes to a total amount of not to exceed $112,000. Is that correct? Yes.
Okay, motion by Ms. Dancho. Do I have a second?
Second, Dave Harden.
Second by Councilor Harden. Any other further discussion? No? We'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Thank you very much, Amy. Mr. Casey, back to you. There's no other action items for your report, sir, other than the new business ones, which we'll get to?
Correct.
Okay. Excellent. Mr. Hyde, how are you, sir?
Very well, Chairman. Very well, Chairman Pia.
And looking at your report, which, again, you prepared for us, any action items that you need to bring us up to speed on tonight?
Not at this time. We're waiting to get into the new year.
And thank you to Amy's point, you guys have been doing a great job with keeping everything moving. Not a lot of people know about it, but running those things on bypass isn't easy, so thank you.
Thank you.
Bless you. All right. Excellent. We'll get to new business. The first item, I will entertain a motion for item 5A under new business.
Laura Dancho,
Ms. Dancho?
motion to approve item 5A, an act on amending the implementation policy for new sewer fees.
Motion by Councilwoman Dancho for 5A. Do I have a second to that? Second by Mr. Connor. So over to discussion. So Mr. Marino, if you could join us. This was, it was provided to the WPCA, the red line version at the back. This was what we discussed then basically for Ferry Boulevard, and it would be implementing a change to our current.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. You have a policy regarding the implementation of sewer fees, and in order to accommodate property owners, this is not, while this is being done as a result of the Ferry Boulevard property, this is intended for general use. When you have a property owner that is seeking to connect to your system that is not conducting any upgrades to the property, is not expanding the use of the property, and there's a limited impact or no impact onto the sewer system, this deferment of charge gives you the flexibility to avoid charging what might be a very high connection fee at this moment in time, but it reserves to you the right to collect that fee in the future if there are any upgrades to the property that would justify it.
Excellent. Any discussion, or if you, go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. Using this Ferry Boulevard property, and I apologize, I'm going to go from memory, it seemed to have 4, maybe 5 aspects to it, and we were saying we would charge for one of them but not charge for the others. When you say reserve the right to charge, are we setting up a payment schedule?
No, and in fact, I think Mr. Casey might be able to better explain when you determine what the charge will be. It's based on a number of units that can be established at the property, and I believe in this instance it was like 5.4 units. So when you calculate what that charge would be, in this instance I believe it would be about $24,000. So what we're saying here is since there's the total number of units is 5.4, the property owner is not doing any type of enhancement to its property, no construction or anything like that, so it's only one unit. So of the 5.4, we're going to charge it 20%, which is representative of one unit, and we're going to reserve the 4.1 remaining units to the future if the property owner ever increases the number of units on the property.
How would, I have a bad memory of sometimes we've lost sewer connection assessments or not collected them. How would we record this? So
on the land records. We would put on the land records a notice of the assessment of the charge with a reservation to the authority for the additional charges in the future at any time. So any prospective purchaser of the property would be aware of it. And of course, other than you, the authority recalling it at some point in time, it would be in your records. It would be in the on the land records, and presumably any permit that gets pulled in the future, if it requires a sign off from the authority then would be able to assess it at that point.
So this was, we wanted to work with the applicant, with anybody.
No, this is good.
And-
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to, when the building department, or do they keep a record by property? So in addition to the card and town clerks, would it be part of the building department also?
We would make the charge levy the charge when they come in for a building permit. That's how the policy is set up. So they're, or a sewer connection permit, which is in this case come in for a sewer connection permit. If they were coming for a building permit to enlarge their building or change their use, then we would be notified that, you know, this charge would be due. How do we collect it? We haven't deferred the collection charges before, but we do defer the assessments many times. That, in fact, all of lordship is deferred, so you don't pay your assessment until you connect, and we know, you know, we have those records. So when you come in for a permit to connect to sewer as a residence in lordship, you have to pay your assessment because it was deferred back when the assessment was levied in 1980 something.
So the property owner could, I don't even know what type of building it is, but he could open number two, number three, and because it's already zoned for that, he doesn't have to let us know.
Yeah, it's a commercial. That's the difference between this and the other properties, the commercial properties. So that's how we calculate it based on a commercial property, based on the formula that we have. That's how we came up with 5.4 units. If they were to come in for an expansion of the building, we would probably then tell them, well, you have to pay the balance, which would be 4.4 units.
Okay.
You know, if they felt that was unfair, you know, they could always appeal it to you, but that's what we would do.
So we're amending the WPCA's rules just to allow the deferment of such a fee.
Right. And I want to make clear, while we're using Ferry Boulevard as an example, we're not doing this for Ferry Boulevard per se. This is an amendment to your policy that would apply uniformly across your municipality. So, you know, I just want to make that clear, that this is an amendment to the policy that gives you the ability to defer charges in the future for any property owner if it's justified. Yes.
Any other discussion on the item? Nope? Okay. Call for a vote for item 5A. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next, Mr. Marino, you could just hang out for us. Next would be I'll entertain a motion for item 5B.
Lord Dancho, motion to approve item 5B.
Ms. Dancho, thank you. Do I have a second to the motion? By Mr. Connor. Discussion. So this is now the Ferry Boulevard property, and this will be establishing the connection fee. And Mr. Marino, you worked with their counsel on this?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have spoken to Attorney Kaiser on this, and in discussions with him, the property owner agrees with the assessment of 1/5 of the total fee. So just for purposes of more exactness, on March 23rd, 2021, Kevin Morrissey calculated a connection charge of $21,816. That was based on 5.4 units as the calculated number of units for the property. The subject property has a building on it with 2 toilets and no plans of expansion. It's my understanding that the property is classified as contaminated, which affects further expansion of the existing building and development on the subject property. The lessee of the property has requested a WPCA take these factors into consideration when it sets the connection charge. So considering the statutory factors, so in addition to your policy, under the Connecticut General Statutes 7-255, you have the ability to consider a number of factors, including the volume of water discharged to the system, the type or size of building connected to the system, the number of plumbing fixtures connected to the system, the number of persons customarily using the property served by the system, and the quality and character of the material discharge. So the statute allows you, again, flexibility as your policy now does that you just adopted to take these factors into consideration. So what we're recommending, based on the minimal flow that would be generated by the present use of the property, that it would be reasonable for the WPCA to establish a connection charge based on a calculation of 1 unit rather than 5.4 units. So what you would set the connection charge in accordance with the recommendation of Kevin Morrissey as calculated on March 23rd. The connection charge would be $21,816. However, you would only collect today $4,040.32, and you would defer the balance to a future point in time.
So essentially, we're just charging them the use of, as if they're connecting on one lot. And if
Right.
they ever want to build more, they have to ask us for permission, then we would then defer. They would pay the deferment.
Exactly. So what we're doing today is we're going to set the charge at $21,816, which is the total charge that it would be due under your policy. But now under the new language of the deferment section, we're going to defer four-fourths of that policy, or 80%. And so what we're recommending that you charge today $4,040.32.
Chairman Pia, thank you. Could we add a footnote that this will be recorded in the land record and XYZ, whenever the property's improved, will be exercised?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was a proposed resolution on there, but I believe part of that was to direct the town engineer to record a lien on the land records to memorialize the deferment.
So that is in the policy, so it would be always done as a matter of practice under the policy, and, the tax collector would file the lien then.
No, appreciate the question.
Any other discussion on item B? No? Okay. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Next item. So the next four items, Mr. Casey, correct me if I'm wrong, C, D, E, and F are all essentially referrals to 824 referrals to planning. And Mr. Marino, can you just give us a little background on that?
Yes, so I had a conversation with Mr. Casey about whether or not, prior to the expansion of your system, whether or not Connecticut General Statute Section 8-24 required the referral to the Zoning Commission for a report. And my review of the statute under Section 4 of 824, when you're talking about the expansion of a sewer line, that is a municipal improvement that requires an 8-24 referral. So what we're asking tonight is that you vote to refer items, the next four, to the Zoning Commission for a report. The significance of that is, depending upon the action taken by that commission, the Zoning Commission, if you receive back a favorable report, in order to pass the motion to extend the sewer line, you'll only require a simple majority. If there is a negative report sent back by the Zoning Commission, it will require a supermajority to pass the motion.
And again, this is under which state? It's under state statute?
It's state statute 8-24, subsection 4.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll have discussion on it. So I'll entertain a motion to approve item 5C, or to send to planning and zoning.
So just planning, I think, because
Just
we
planning.
have two commissions.
Or
If we go to planning commission?
What's that?
We have two commissions,
I
so we'll go to
apologize.
planning commission.
I apologize.
To planning.
Yep.
Okay.
It goes to- right.
So I'll entertain a motion to send to planning for an 824 review, and if someone would like the motion to combine C, D, E, and F, we can do that for discussion.
So moved.
By Mr. Poisson. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Connor. Any discussion on combining for discussion? No. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Back to the motion for, oh no, we just made it. So we're good there. So excellent. So those will go to planning to be for 824. Next item on the agenda is item G.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Marino. Mr. Casey.
So this item is similar to what we did with our sewer lining project. We're at the fiscal year. We have a contractor working currently under bid prices that are a year old. We'd like to extend his contract to continue the work he's doing on the I&I remediation, which would be to rehab the sewers to reduce leakage and infiltration into the system. He's willing to hold his bid prices, and we're looking to extend the contract and the dollar amounts listed. And also, the item G is for National Water Main Cleaning Company. And then item H is for Ty and Bond to assist in the construction administration of that extra work.
Okay, so let's take them one at a time. So I'll entertain a motion to approve item 5G. Ms. Dancho?
Laura Dancho, motion to approve item 5G.
Thank you, Ms. Dancho. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Connor. Any further discussion on 5G? No? Okay. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve 5H.
Laura Dancho, motion to approve item 5H for $10,000 for Ty and Bond to retain their services.
Motion by Ms. Dancho. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. O'Brien. Any discussion on 5H? Hearing none, we'll call it for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. And last item, I'll entertain a motion to approve 5I.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Poisson. Do I have a second to that? Second by Mr. Perillo. And John, do you want to, did you touch on this a minute ago? On 5I?
Yeah, the Public Works Committee conducted interviews of 3 firms last Tuesday and made a recommendation for GZA, Geo-Environmental, as the preferred vendor for the consulting of that project.
Excellent. Any further discussion on that? No? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion passes 10-0. Thank you, John. Seeing there's no other items on the WPCA, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Poisson. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes 10-0. Thank you.